hell was having a small problem. Now, as it turned out, humans were even more finicky than Satan could have anticipated, as, after countless centuries of successful torture, torment, and terror, the general level of misery was beginning to decline. Now, it wasn't that these people were particularly happy, or even courageous. Rather, it seemed that they were getting bored, and try as he might, not even the devil could batter and bludgeon things back into the status quo. Now, he blamed the newest batch of immigrants, of course. Bolstered by years of reality television, of financial investing, and diet crazes, the most recent group of condemned souls all had short attention spans, self-entitlement issues, and whined like you wouldn't believe. No matter how much they were whipped, burned, or eaten, they always found something to criticize, or some excuse to try and sell you something. It was having a negative influence on the demon's productivity, because as it turned out, it was difficult to focus on flailing the flesh from human bones, when that human, in between screams, was suggesting that they would be perfectly suited to invest in this new hedge fund. It was only getting worse, too. Soon Satan's lair was subjected to endless solicitations by salesmen. His favorite spiked fire baths were always clogged with masochists, and he found himself frequently losing a truly cursed phenomenon called the game whenever someone dared mention it. And they did. A lot. The demons were starting to file grievances with management, asking for raises, even though they weren't getting paid. Soon, the devil had had enough. Something had to be done, or, God forbid, his realm would start unionizing. And so a plan was made, a renovation of sorts, one guaranteed to make hell more miserable than ever. Oh, this is the end. That's what Jonathan Miller had first thought, when he had first seen the large truck barreling down on him, driver flipping him the finger, as if it were actually his fault that he had attempted to cross the street while the walk sign was on. Most peculiar was that the driver was a woman, and had Jonathan been asked to predict the manner of his own demise, being struck by a crazy male driver would have been near the top of the list, given he was in New York, but being struck by a crazy woman driver would have ranked substantially lower. I always thought they were such a level-headed gender, the poor victim thought as the car's grill caught him just above the kneecaps, flipping him end over end, first across the windshield, and then the roof. Death was instantaneous, which was actually fortunate considering the amount of blinding pain that would have otherwise been waiting for him. Now, for the longest time, John's consciousness floated in a vast void without substance or texture, and though his mind perpetually ran the same thought, women are supposed to be nice drivers, in the absence of any physical reality, he was finding some small degree of comfort in focusing with an almost obsessive zeal on this conflict to his normal worldview. In the small eternity that seemed to comprise his non-existence, he began to wonder if maybe this woman who had killed him had had a bad day. Maybe her husband had cheated on her, and she was upset about it. Maybe she had no husband or boyfriend, and she was upset about that. Maybe, God forbid, she was going through her period. So focused was he on delving into the psychological reasons that he was smeared across a woman's windshield, he failed to notice that slowly and subtly a substance was beginning to manifest. Like silt settling at the bottom of a lake, gravity and texture were gradually restoring themselves. John didn't notice that he had knees until he felt them starting to cramp, and it was only when he opened his eyelids that he realized he could suddenly see. That, and that there was finally something to see. It was an airport. An empty airport at that. Looking down at himself, John realized that he was now dressed in a sweat-stained dress shirt, a wrung and worn-out suit jacket, and slacks that, well, for reasons he'd rather not have thought about, seemed particularly worn out in the crotch area. At his side, a large duffel bag lay open, and a quick inspection of the contents revealed some more clothes, some paper, an odd pamphlet, pens, and a BlackBerry. He didn't pay them much attention at first, tucking them back in as he climbed to his feet very slowly, knees aching. "What?" he croaked, immediately starting to cough. His mouth and throat felt as dry as cotton, and it took him several moments of swallowing and grunting to get some moisture back. Hoping to get his bearings, John picked up the bag and slung it over his shoulder, starting to move in the direction of the airport security gate. Now, he was a frequent flyer, and so he could feel a slightly comforting routine starting to settle in, for about 9 seconds, right up until he was stopped at the gate by 2 burly security guards who seemed to come from nowhere. "Sir, can we please see the bag?" one of them asked. Even as the second one yanked the duffel bag from John's shoulder, nearly taking his right arm with it. As the accosted, and much smaller, John belatedly mumbled, Yeah, go ahead." The second guard strode to a nearby table and dropped the bag onto it. Opening it up, the bruiser rooted around, soon emerging with a small silver object. Striding back to John, the guard held it up, barking, "You mind telling me what this is, sir?" A nail clipper?" "And this?" A small attachment was rotated until it protruded from the clipper. A nail file, I guess? I've never used one." "Sir, do you realize that this could potentially be used as a dangerous weapon?" "Well, I'm trying to leave the airport. Look, could you just tell me where I am? I seem to be kind of cut off by a sharp snap as the guard broke the nail file in two. John jumped slightly and yelped as his tormentor stomped back over to the bag, turning it upside down and dumping the entire contents out onto the table. Socks, shirts, and the BlackBerry hurled in all directions, John's arms flailing about as each object was flung into his chest. After several intense seconds of searching, the guard froze, picking up, of all things, a bra. "Sir, is this yours?" "No, I don't think any of it's mine, but that certainly is not mine at all." Even though the terminal had been empty since John's arrival, a glance beyond the metal detectors in front of them showed that a sizable crowd had suddenly and inexplicably materialized there, every single one of them glancing between John and the offending brazier. I have no idea how that got there. For that matter, I have no idea how I got here either. "Sir, this brazier has an underwire," the first guard interjected, the second one nodding solemnly. "What?" "An underwire. Are you aware, sir, that a bra's underwire could be used as a potentially deadly weapon?" Wait, what? What would I have to do with that? Whip someone to death? Or wrap it around their neck and suffocate them over the course of 5 minutes? "You seem to have given this a great deal of thought, sir," the second guard noted suspiciously. "I haven't given it a great deal of thought, you dumb son of a—" "Insulting security personnel could be construed as a declaration of hostility, sir." "I believe we should give him the full search," the first guard added, glancing at the second. "Well, that would be the prudent course of action," the second agreed, pulling out a pair of latex gloves. Wait, John interjected, waving his hands in front of him. "Look, fine. If you think that the stuff's dangerous, then keep it. Keep the bag, too. I just want to get out of here and get my bearings, all right?" There was a long pause, with both guards glancing between John and each other. An apparently complex code of lifted eyebrows, shrugs, and grunts passing between them, and a less complex code of glares and scowls directed at John. Finally, they seemed to come to some form of agreement. "Very well, sir," the first guard agreed sullenly. "We'll keep the bag and most of the contents. You may keep your electronic device and the pamphlet. This is your first and only warning, however." Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much." Swiveling on heel, mostly interested in getting the hell out of there so he could find out where the hell he was, John all but dashed across the terminal, hardly paying any attention to his surroundings, or more specifically, the metal detector he passed through. Naturally, the detector went off, John didn't even have time to swear before he found himself tackled by both massive guards, driven to the ground, and knocked senseless on the cold tile floor.